CNBC TV 18 Young Turks Conclave 2015.
Our next speaker was not only born with a silver spoon, but with the DNA for Bollywood. Abhishek Bachchan has to his credit over 50 feature films as actor and producer, and is today pushing himself beyond the rigors and glamour of Bollywood to step into the arena of sports. Take a look.
A national award-winning actor and producer with over 50 feature films to his credit, including numerous box office hits. A proud owner of Jaipur Pink Panthers. The title winners of the inaugural Pro Kabaddi League. Co-owner of the Indian Super League franchise Chennaiyin FC. One of the founders and captain of the All Stars Football Club, a team of celebrities who play football for charity. The global ambassador for N7, a campaign that's working towards the elimination of neglected tropical diseases. CNBC TV 18 welcomes Abhishek Bachchan to the Young Turks Conclave 2015.
Would also request Shireen to come back on stage once again.
Thank you very much for joining us. I'm nervous already. I've got a Bollywood star on set.
Please.
She has no idea how nervous I am.
Let's get started. Abhishek, I was reading an interview of yours that you did in 2010, and you said, if I'm not an actor, I will be a struggling actor in the industry. Is that still the motivation? Is that still the aspiration?
The question was asked in the context that, if you weren't an actor, what would you be? Somebody says a fireman, an astronaut, a journalist. And I say I would have been a struggling actor. Every day in the film industry, as I'm pretty sure in all their industries, is a struggle. And you have to work hard. So yeah, that keeps you awake, at night, that how am I going to get my next job? Am I going to be able to do it? If I have a tough scene the next day, you rehearse your lines at night, then you can't sleep. So that's something that keeps you going.
Was that something that you really wanted to do, or was that because of the legacy?
No, one day my parents, when I was very young, walked into my room and woke me up. And, hung me out of the window and said, you better become an actor, or, no, stuff like that doesn't happen, beta, bada ban ke actor banega, No, I think, how many people I hear from business families?
Not many,
so
many.
It's pretty natural, right? And the ones who are not, who have started their own dream and journey, I'm sure your progeny will be the same. You grow up in an atmosphere which, for me, was one of creativity. My grandfather was a very noted poet. My grandmother was very much into theatre. My father and mother are both actors. The people that came into the house and who were socializing with my family were predominantly from a creative field. Either they were writers or poets or actors or directors. So you grow up in an atmosphere which is completely surrounded by creativity. And because of that, your friends are the children of actors.
Yeah.
When I came into the film industry now 15 years ago, my entire generation was a generation, we all literally from Tushar to Uday to Ritik to Zaid, we all literally went to school in the same car. We were all part of a carpool because we were all neighbors. I open my gate and Ajay Devgan lives opposite me and Dharamji is next door with Bobby, and so it's just that was the neighborhood we grew up in. So this was the life we knew, and I think that's what just it sparks that curiosity. Whenever we used to watch any film of say Dads, I remember I used to try and enact the climax of the film, which unfortunately for my sister, entailed a lot of violence. So she was at the brunt of a lot of my acting. And so you just grow into that. So nobody forced me. It's just something I always wanted to do. And then when I was about 9 when I was sent to boarding school in Europe. I was in a British boarding school. And, sports played an integral part of our curriculum.
Yeah.
We had to do sports every day. My school was in the mountains. So there was a lot of emphasis on outdoor activity and sport. For me, at that age of 9, 10, all I used to ever look forward to is when's the next school play and, when's the next basketball match.
Okay.
And that just grew from there into a passion.
Okay. So, all right. Nobody forced you to do what you're doing.
Although that story sounds a lot better, right?
That you were forced into getting into Bollywood. All right. Okay. So you became an actor. But the problem, and I speak about this problem from a perspective of the challenge that brands face, right? And we're talking about startups and brands and building sustainable brands here. And your father is the most iconic brand in Bollywood. And there was obviously going to be the comparisons. And how do you then create a position for yourself? How do you then create a differentiator for yourself that you're not constantly going to be compared to your father, because you cannot then outlive the brand that your father has created? And perhaps that's been the downside of your career, wouldn't you say?
It's very simple, actually. I'm married to an actor as well.
Yes.
And our lives and our paths have been very different. Whereas you could draw a similarity between her being a startup company and me being a business house that I inherited the business. So
that's a nice analogy. Aishwarya Rai, the startup company, and Abhishek Bachchan, the business family.
Yeah. I thought of that on the flight, by the way. You know, when my first film was about to start, and I was shooting in a town called Bhuj, which is in the Kutch region of Gujarat. It was a movie called Refugee, and I remember the first 3-4 days when I was shooting, my director, Mr. J.P. Datta, didn't do any work with me. He used to call me on set, I used to get ready, and I used to just wait. And with each day, you know, that proverbial sword that was hanging on top of my head, that this is when it's going to start, your nerves just keep building up until I was absolute wreck. And on the 5th or 6th day, I remember the sun was going down, and I said, this is rubbish. I can't get ready every day and wait for this, like being on death row, you know. And I took off my makeup and everything, and I was going to the bus to go back to our hotel, when suddenly one assistant director came running and said, your shot is ready. And I had removed my makeup, taken off my costume, everything, and I said, yeah, but I've got to do my makeup. And no, sun is going, let's go. And in films, you'll come to know when the light is going in the evening, it's chaos. So I sprint onto set, and JP Saab says, come on, do the shot. And I was just a passing shot, because if any of you all have seen Refugee, there was a lot of passing going on in that. So all I was doing was running from one side to the other, and that was pretty much the first 3 days of me being an actor, after which I'd become the complete opposite. I thought Marlon Brando had arrived, you know. I'm like, this is easy, I just have to walk from here to here, it's simple. Until he gave me my first dialogue, and that was 3 pages. I remember the first line, because I'd become so brattish by then, of 3 days of just being passing shots, that I said, this is easy, man, what are people making a big deal out of this? JP Saab's father used to write the dialogues. He said, sit with dad and learn the dialogues. I reclined, you know. Yeah, go ahead. And he was reading the scene out to me, and I was like, okay. And the shot was set up, and JP Saab said, you know, just do it while you're filling water in some earthen pots. I said, okay. So you be, I'm sorry, but
yeah, don't worry.
Act
Okay,
like
I'm Kulbhushan Kharbanda for this evening. But
So
Khudar, tumhara naam kya hai?
Naam? Refugee. There was an awkward silence. I'm like, my shot must have been really good. He's not cutting it, you know. He's like, wow. And I kept pouring it, and I finished the water, and then finally I said, the water's over. He said, where's the rest of your dialogue? So I said, that's it. So that's when I realized that he had given me 3 pages, and I just heard the first line. And that's when the panic, set in, because then I started noticing that there were close to 10,000 people on set. People from neighboring villages had come in on tractors, because they heard that Amitabh Bachchan's son is making his first film. And suddenly that 10,000 became 1 million, you know, in my mind. And suddenly the whole weight of the world came in. And everybody was like, you know, I remember my co-actors were there, and a lot of them had worked with my dad. And somebody who I considered to be a guru of mine, Mr. Anupam Kher, because I trained under him, he was one of my teachers, was there as well, and he was panicking, because I just froze. And I was just picturing in my mind that they're going to call rap, they're going to go back to the hotel. In those days, we had no mobiles that worked in Bhuj. So there was a PCO that there used to be a line outside. And I said, they're all going to call my dad and say, forget about it, send him away somewhere else, he's horrible. And I remember after, I think my 17th retake or 18th retake, JP Saab realized that I just lost the plot. So he completely locked off the set, threw everybody off. It was just Kulbhushanji, me, JP Saab, and the cinematographer. And he said, listen, I'm going to keep you here till you do it right. So you take as much time as you want. And don't worry about anything else, and just go for it. And the next take, after that, I became comfortable. It was fine. And on my drive back, I was thinking, that the main reason I froze was because I was just thinking, what are these people going to go tell my father? You know, there I was a 21, 22-year-old.
Do you still live with that fear?
No. Because during that drive, I realized that if I'm just going to be thinking about how am I going to live up to the legacy that my father has, and the name and the respect and the talent that he has, I'm not going to be able to do my job. Because at that point of time, I should have been concentrating on my shot, on what my dialogues were, what my motivation for that scene is. Instead, I was just thinking about, oh my God, you know, Amitabh Bachchan's son, complete failure. So that's when I just learned to just compartmentalize that and blocked it off. But obviously, I am his son, and people are going to be interested in seeing me. And I remember Mr. Yash Chopra told me at the premiere of Refugee, he said, well done, congratulations, beta, Ashirwad, I've known him since I was born. And he said, remember, your father brought you till here. After the first show, it's all you. Because it doesn't matter whose son you are, nobody's going to spend money on you because you're somebody else's son. They'll go see your father's film.
That's true. Is the attempt now at entrepreneurship your effort to really find your own voice, so to speak?
No, I just love it.
And why?
No, I just love it.
You just love it?
Yeah.
CNBC TV 18's Young Turks Conclave 2015.